I'm from Gauteng Cocta, but I'm part of the team which is responsible for energy in the province. We are made up of Department of Infrastructure Development, Department of Economic Development, Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, Girdarte, which is Agriculture and Rural Development, and also Provincial Treasury. So basically, that's where we are. But we are the Energy Office. The Energy Office sits in Gauteng Cocta. Right. That's where I am. Okay. So my responsibility is for Gauteng Cocta, also for municipal infrastructure support. So, Cocta's responsibility is coordination. Hence our role, coordinating. So our role is coordinating issues for energy with municipalities and support where support will be needed.
So South Africa needs to grow its supply to support economic expansion, and in so doing alleviate supply bottlenecks and supply-demand deficits in energy-dependent industries such as mining and manufacturing. Can you take us through how load shedding has impacted the economy of Gauteng? The economy of Gauteng is the economic hub of the country.
It has serious impact, so to say. You'll understand that normally we'll say that our plans always, our development plans normally inform our energy plans. And when you look at our development plans, right from our industrial plans, they are basically based on mining, and our industry are energy intensive. Also agriculture is energy intensive. When you look at issues for chicken farming, it's energy intensive. Most of our industry are energy intensive. That's high end, but also on SMMEs, they are also reliant on energy. So that have had negative impact on the economy, obviously. And me being from Gauteng and representing Gauteng government, that's why we had to intervene, because we realized that our GGT 2030 plan will be affected if we don't do anything from provincial perspective. We'll end up having investors leaving the province. But nationally, right, that's the same impact.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Salagae, you operate in an environment that is governed by a number of policy instruments. One being the National Development Plan, the DMRE Strategic Plan, the RP 2019, a provincial energy response strategies, the Independent Integrated Development Plan, and other cross-functional plans. Clearly, there are challenges in the execution, collaboration, and coordination of these initiatives. How have you as Gauteng government navigated the space of ensuring that these policies are cascaded to a provincial level, to municipal level, up to the relevant implementation agencies?
Look at just one example here. Yeah. To start with, we don't have energy mandate as a province. Yeah, before I go into Ginger. Right. So what we do, the good part is that this district development model and the three spheres, we work as a three spheres of government. Right. For instance, the national department will be responsible for electrification. And then those electrification projects are implemented in municipalities. We as a province, through provincial treasury and Gauteng Cocta, will be assisting in ensuring that procurements and delivering of those projects are delivered on time. Because ultimately, if they are not delivered on time, the problems come back to the province, come back to the municipalities. So it's very important that the three spheres of government work succinctly. The other part is that when we work, we have to align our work, even our capacity, with the plans that are contained within the IRP, Integrated Resource Plan. So we are always having conversation with our national colleagues from DMRE. Even environment, because in as much as you do energy issues, they have environmental impacts. So also we have those consultations with environment, National Department of Environment. But ultimately, it's a big cake.
Yeah.
IRP is a big cake, and I mean, we need to know what can we share.
Right.
If for instance we are talking about solar, so we convene, we discuss with municipalities to say that as a province we would like to get this cake from what have been presented in the IRP. So that's exactly what we continually do. But ultimately also we'll realize that the funding predominantly come from national. Funding in terms of municipal infrastructure grants, your electrification grants, and many other grants, demand side management, energy efficiency grants, they come from national. The coordination comes from us as a province. You'll realize that most of our municipalities, even in other provinces, they are not well capacitated. And as a province, we took it upon ourselves to say that how can we help? One of the things that we've done is to get a team of experts, of engineers, that can help municipalities in other things like planning, having the energy plans that are there, in things like when they want to increase tariffs, determine tariffs, which is the competence of NERSA, by the way. But the NERSA requires cost of supply plans to be in place. We assist municipalities with those things. But we also work closely with Salagae. So it's an integrated approach by municipalities. And on the space, you'll realize that ESCOM plays a major role in terms of the grid, because grid codes, grid permission have to be done predominantly by ESCOM. So that's that IGR platforms that we normally have, which is normally led by the Premier or by the MEC in different IGR platforms that we are having. But let's look at the process of review. When you review, just before 2019, if you remember, there have been other iterations for IRP.
Right.
You remember one iteration contained 9.6 gigawatts of nuclear, and there were plans on that, and there were time frames. So that's why I say that it's a living document. But I participated in that. I was invited in those sessions, but it takes long, because you need to set assumptions, you need to do modeling.
Right.
After doing modeling, you need to do consultations.
Right.
So you can't do that every year. it's an impossible task.
Right.
But things are changing, obviously, and the capacity need, more especially the energy crisis that we are having, calls for that.
Right.
And also, it doesn't only calls for inclusion for renewables, but it also calls for our look at the base load that we are using, which is coal, which is nuclear.
Right.
Because now I think we really need to look at the base load that we've been using, which is nuclear and coal, and also adding a lot of renewables, but also issues of storage. They are there in the IRP, but I think we need to be more rigorous.
Right.
into that. But I still believe that the National Department, DMRE,
right,
they are in the process of doing that, because it's a continuous. They have a team,
right,
that deals with energy planning.
Right.
They do integrated energy planning, which talks about petroleum and other things, and then also this resource plan. So that team continuously do that, and they have expert modelers, right, economists. So I have faith in them, right, and I think that they are busy with that. It's just that there's a process that have to be taken. Yeah. But obviously, I think going into the future, it would be good that from province level, we also play a very active role because in as much as we don't have energy mandate, but we can have good inputs into the document. Looking at the bid windows, it's achievable. And looking at the announcements that the Minister of Electricity have been also doing, I believe that is achievable. I should say that we don't have option based on the crisis,
Right.
but to achieve that. For me,
Right.
these targets are achievable
Right.
because we don't have an option. We don't have a luxury of not achieving them. Yeah, number one, just on the security side of things. Together with community development, there are a whole lot of things that the Premier have stated in the State of the Province address. Those include CCTV cameras that will be everywhere. I think more especially for infrastructure, but also just for safety of citizens. The other part was police visibility. The Premier announced 6,000 additional provincial police to assist in that. Also, there's an announcement for drones that is there. Premier also announced helicopters on security side of things.
Right.
So we are with community safety with municipalities.
Right.
There's a whole lot that is done based on safety because it really impacts the issue of that.
Right.
But the other part, we as a province, we work closely with municipalities. Municipalities like, I won't mention any, but obviously I know for sure, like City of Joburg, they are having now, they've been rolling out solar street lights just to make sure that the moment we go off grid, the load shedding,
Right.
then there's something that's happening. And we have plans to deal with that. But load shedding ultimately affects the municipal infrastructure, I should say, negatively. Most municipalities, they've been having their substations off because their facilities are not meant to carry load shedding
Right.
at that time intervals.
Right.
So it affects them, and others have been out for more than a month,
Right.
and they had to buy new transformers and do all those things. But as a province, we've now, the Premier have set what we call Premier Energy Emergency Council that will look, all these plans that I'm talking about are the initiative of the Premier. So based on the council, we have what we call Gauteng Energy Crisis Plan. We are, it's a living document, yeah, so to say, where municipalities are on board, and then we look at different options that can help. As you know, one of the options that we are having there is Merafong solar farm, which will bring on board about 800 megawatts. One option that is brought by municipalities is, for instance, 50 megawatts by Royal Power Station in City of Tshwane. So there are all those options. We have rooftop solar intervention, and also demand interventions that are done by municipalities. So it's a whole lot of package that we are doing.
The Minister of Electricity at his opening address yesterday outlined a number of key strategic outcomes. One being enabling private sector investment in new generation capacity, accelerating procurement of new capacity from renewables, gas and battery storage, unleashing businesses and households to invest in rooftop solar, and the transformation of the electricity sector. Now, can you please take us through the Gauteng energy security strategy? How is the provincial government going to respond to the Minister of Electricity five strategic outcomes?
Maybe let me just indicate that we've been having discussions at different levels with private sectors. led by different MECs and different departments. MEC Mama Bolo with the Department of Economic Development led in roundtable discussions with SMMEs, large power users, and those who produce power, who can play in the field of power. So that's the engagement that have happened. Also, through Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, we've had engagements with the MEC also for Treasury, with the banking sectors. So there've been a whole lot of discussions that are happening. We had Expo, that Provincial Expo, Energy Expo, where the main thing was to say, what's out there? What can private institutions provide to assist in resolving these problems? And the province is serious about that. You can see with regard already in Merafong, the province have brought 6 developers that will be involved in bringing the 800 megawatts. City Power also is continuously engaging with Kelvin Power Station on how to increase the capacity of Kelvin Power Station. At the moment, we remember that one part of Kelvin Power Station is powered by diesel. About 76 megawatts are from diesel, and it's very expensive. They are looking at how can that be converted to gas. And we are engaging with, as a province, we are assisting municipalities also to engage with gas producers like Sasol. Right. We've had several engagements already with them in terms of what can be done and how we can help them. We're also engaging with City of Tshwane with their power station, the other one, Pretoria West. How can our Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency assist them with waste to energy? One of the issues that we get our marching orders from, as a province, from immediate marching orders, so to say, from State of the Province address and also from GGT 2030. So in the State of the Province address, that's one thing that the Premier set out clear to say that skills development is key. Hence you see intervention of schools, just technology schools, different technology schools that are being rolled out in the province. But that part is very serious, and it's one of the responsibility of the technical team for energy emergency. It's one of the things that we are looking at, and we haven't concretized the plans as such. Whilst we are here, we've been looking at what are the options. How can the technical colleges play a role in this? How can they be resourced to be solar installers? So all those options are on the plate, but they are not yet concretized. But it's one of the mandates that have been given to us as a technical team, provincial technical team, to say that what do we do in skills development. But not only that, we don't only get our mandate from that part. We also get our marching orders from one of the pillars that we are having from the 6 pillars of energy security. On issues of modernization, it have also the issue of skills there. As we modernize, how do we skill? How do we help development of new companies? And then also the most important part, we have what we call TISH, where we play a critical role in communities in terms of helping them in skills development, but also just informing their own companies. So all those things are very important for the province. You remember our comparison was to say that peak demand for Gauteng, when you compare it with sub-Saharan Africa. For instance, you look at peak demand. Our peak demand is predominantly equal to the peak demand of Zimbabwe. Now it tells you why we are saying that, and I think it's because we are an economic hub. We are energy intensive, and when you looked at our demand is predominantly our industrial and commercial demand. Our agriculture is quite less, I think, because of land mass that we are having, and hence the pressure is more on us to do that. In terms of the other part that we mentioned is on emissions. Our emissions, we have targets as a province that the commitments that we made to our National Department of Environment.
Right.
And whatever we do, we have two strategies.
Right.
The overall strategy is the strategy that is spearheaded by our Gauteng Department of Rural Development and Agriculture and Environment, GDARDE. So it's the Gauteng Climate Change Action Plan. In the Gauteng Climate Change Action Plan, it have mitigation and adaptation measures that we have to do as a province. Right there, we have emission measures that we have to do as a province. So whenever we look at energy is part of that. It's I can say it's a subset of the climate change strategy.
Right.
So we also have to play our role in terms of those targets. So our energy targets are also informing the emission targets that we have in the climate change action plan for the province. Yeah. Yeah.
No, thanks for that.
Hence you saw in one of the slides, we did a work just to track our work. As I said, we every 2 years we do an outlook for the province, just to say what is the state of energy outlook. One of the things is on climate change, issues for emissions.
Yes.
How do we, from energy perspective, and what are the interventions that help reduce those emissions?
Right.
So basically, we looked at that and we've realized that at least we are not far from the targets that we set for ourselves.
Right.
You know it's for us it's easy because when you look at our big space,
Right.
our big space is not base load space.
Right.
Yeah, base load space meaning that coal power stations, nuclear power stations. Our big role we play predominantly on alternative energy space, which is renewable energy, and also on the demand side, which is your demand side management side.
Right.
So that's where we play a big role. So as a province, it's easy because that's where most of our interventions are on the demand side management.
Right.
And on the supply side, it's predominantly, you've heard, we are playing on solar, which is 800 megawatts. Right. We also want you looked at Kelvin Power Station. We want to convert that to be a gas-powered station. Pretoria West 1, waste to energy. Right. So you can see where we play as a province. We play predominantly in the renewable space, and our municipalities play on that space predominantly.
Right.
And also our industries here play predominantly in that space. So it's easy.
Right.
But obviously, from national perspective, there's a lot that needs to be done.
Right.
So as a province, it's easy.
Right.
But when you look at national aggregation, it's a challenge because we can't deny that coal as a base load is very important.
Right.
And as we've always been saying, our industrial policy have to determine our energy policy. but also looking at our climate change commitments. So we have to balance all those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you look, I think you've excluded the big one, Emfuleni.
Emphasis, yes.
Emfuleni have it's highly industrial. You have ArcelorMittal that is there, which is dealing predominantly with iron ore, which is highly energy intensive. And you look at Ekurhuleni, their industrial sectors are high energy intensive sectors.
Right.
So unfortunately, we are economic hub,
Right.
and we play a big role in industrialization for South Africa.
Right.
But the good part about these municipalities is that they have divisions that are playing a role in ensuring that issues of environment are addressed. So there are dedicated divisions in City of Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and City of Joburg on that one. But you look at our municipality like Emfuleni, for instance, we have capacity constraints because it's a small municipality, though big in size, but their department is only, I can say it's an electricity department. They don't have a dedicated environmental, the department that looks at environment. So it's the scale that is needed and capacity. But what we do as a province, we always, where there's a need, we provide assistance. Like in Emfuleni, we intervene as a province with a team of experts, engineers who assist in municipalities in all those issues. As a province, I should say that our IGR, intergovernmental relations, obviously is very important, and our coordination is very important, and our IGR with ESCOM, with municipalities is very important, and coordination thereof is very important. I'm saying this because we rely on municipalities also to play their critical role, and also to assist them to be able to play that critical role. We are working closely with City Power, obviously, wherever possible, to assist them in increasing capacity for Kelvin Power Station.
Right.
Is very critical for Gauteng. And then we are also working very closely with City of Tshwane. Just yesterday, there was another meeting with City of Tshwane, with Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, to help them onto their 2 power stations. The Royal Power Station, 1 unit, they have 5 units. 1 unit gives 50 megawatts.
Right.
If you can get the 5 units to give 50 megawatts,
Right.
there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. It needs funding. So if there can be funding for such projects, then obviously we can have plus 200 megawatts from Royal Power Station.
Right.
If we can do it well, we can also make significant progress in Pretoria West Power Station.
Right.
That can give us electronics. Whether it's because it's the decision for the city, we don't know what decision they will make.
Right.
Whether it's waste to energy, whether it's gas powered, but there will be electronics.
Right.
But also, as a province, we play our role
Right.
with sector departments. Just Merafong, as I said, we've also already appointed 6 developers.
Right.
For the first phase, concluded land leases already, and agreements with the developers. 800 megawatts into the grid.
Right.
I think there are also things that have to be done, like environmental impact assessments and other assessments, and also wheeling agreements, other agreements that need to be done. But if we play it well, and also on the demand side, we are playing, if we play our role, one of the examples that I made yesterday was on City Power, their ripple relay system. On the demand, they are saving about 40 megawatts. 80 megawatts. If there's funding for that, they can save up to 400 megawatts. That's a lot. And if we play well on our demand, especially our demand side, and with the supply that I've talked about, then we can make a huge impact. So 18 months, I'm positive that with the PMO in place and with the municipalities with their plans that they are having, will be very far.
Dr. Salagae, thank you for all the inputs. Thank you for participating in this podcast, Interrogating Strategy with Denice. Thank you for your participation.